They said it couldn't be done. They said 3 idiots fresh out of college could not record 3 episodes of a podcast that 20 people listen to. But you know what? We did it. We're back.
We did it.
We did it.
Threepeat.
Welcome to episode 3 of the Wrong Fairway, a golf podcast by bad golfers for hopefully better golfers. This is Patty. I got Josh and Dylan with me here, and we are going to jump right into it. So, boys, tell me, how were your last 2 weeks of golf? Josh, you first.
Pretty easy. I just played 9 holes with the guy. I'll get into that later, but didn't get a chance to get to the range. Spent some family time Labor Day weekend, but other than that, I have not much to report. Dylan.
Boys, this was probably one of the better weeks of golf that I've seen in the past few months for myself. I saw the most significant improvement, and it came, one, because last week I went and got fitted on Wednesday, which was just miles above what I was able to do at Golf Galaxy. The PGA Superstore was absolutely incredible in the fitting. And then I took the knowledge that I learned from this fitting, went to the range, played with a golf pro that my aunt is dating.
All right. Free lessons.
So played 9 holes with some friends, another 9 with the PGA pro, 18 the next day with the golf pro. And then just yesterday, Labor Day, I was able to play 18 during some twilight hours. And I could really see some recognizable difference.
So question for you then. So you said that your fitting, you like implemented a lot of stuff that you learned from your fitting. Was it more of like a lesson or a fitting then?
It was 100% a fitting. And I even kind of tried to nudge the guy to go more into the lesson mode. But he straight up told me, he's like, look, man, I'm a fitter. I get paid to do that. I'm not a lessons person. He said, he's like, I did lessons before, but it's not something that I've been doing for a while now, and I'm not trying. He basically told me, you paid for a fitting. You're here to get fitted. So you're
gonna get fitted.
Exactly. And he's like, I'm not here to fix your swing and fix how you're gonna play golf. I'm here to get you clubs. I think the reference he used was, if you are like a Native American with a bow and arrow, right? The golf club is the arrow, and you are the Native American. I kind of look like that too when he explained it to me. But
what's the bow? What's the bow?
The
in
bow's
that analogy?
not there. He basically just.
So you're just throwing arrows?
Axe throwing?
I don't know. It's basically, he said, I'm here to fix the arrow or the bow and arrow, right? And I'm not here to fix the Native American. So
like, if you were a golfer and you had some clubs, he's there to fix the clubs, not you as the golfer.
Exactly.
It's kind of like another analogy. Okay.
Which is exactly what happened.
Yeah, I know. Exactly.
I'm telling you what he told me, and it worked out pretty great. I felt so dumb because, I had gone to the range before. I had even tried out clubs at that same store the day before, trying to, just get in the mindset and test out some of the clubs that we would be testing out the next day. And I was hitting balls, okay, not amazing, but like pretty well compared to the clubs I have now. Shout out Amazon. But I felt like such a dummy because I'm here with this guy. I paid for 90 minutes, and here I am, no joke, probably half the balls I hit were just duffed balls that I totally sculled, and they go like right, and they almost hit him. I'm like, oh, sorry, dude. And I could kind of like, I don't want to say sense him getting frustrated because he was super professional, and actually he like didn't really care, but I felt like so embarrassed because I wanted to not show off, but show him that me getting this fitting at this point in my golf career is worth it and not something that's totally dumb, if that makes sense.
Yeah. For sure.
But the fitting overall was absolutely awesome. We just kind of started out. He had me swing some of the clubs that I was researching. I looked at the Mavericks. I looked at the TaylorMade Max Sims. And then I looked at the Titleist T300s. And as I go into this, he did the coolest freaking thing. And I absolutely can't believe he pulled this off without me knowing either. But I'm swinging stiff flex clubs the whole time. And then on the last club, he gives me another one. I'm just assuming it's stiff flex. And I absolutely love this club. I'm hitting bombs with it. I ended up going with the Ping G410s. So
Ooh.
So I went with
Yeah.
the Ping G410s, and they felt absolutely great in my hands. I was hitting them like dead straight, maybe 5 feet of a little bit of a fade, but it felt so good in my hands. And he tells me, he's like, all right, look at the shaft of the club. I'm like, what? It's a stiff club. He's like, it's regular. And I'm like, whoa. and like part of me kind of felt like a little bit of a bitch boy because, there's that mentality that you want to have stiff clubs if you're swinging pretty fast. But he kind of assured me, like, look, man, it's all about the results in your game. And I was seeing the best results with the regular shaft. So I went with it.
It's actually interesting you mentioned the flex clubs, because actually the guy who I golfed with, he had a low spin, pretty heavy. It was like 66 gram, very not flex. I did like very low flex club, and he actually let me swing with it. And he's like, yeah, with your swing speed, you cannot be using the flexible shaft that you have. And I actually noticed that as my swing speed with the flexible shaft, that the club is behind where the shaft does. The head of the club is behind where the shaft is. And a lot of time that's why the slice I'm getting is there. So I keep my hands forward to kind of adjust for that. So it's always behind it. So it kind of is straight. It's always behind. So the whole swing is behind. So I'm actually due for a fitting semi-soonish. Pending the times I'll get set up, Dylan. I'll probably ask how your process was, but just kind of really interesting to see, where I am, and that if he knew what he was talking about and I saw performance using his clubs, where actually my performance could go. So
getting fitted clubs is like, I think one of the better things you can do for your golf game outside of getting lessons. And just like I don't know what your mentality was when you were buying your clubs, Dylan, but when I got mine, it was very much like, all right, these are going to be my clubs for the next 10 years. Like, I'm not buying new clubs for 10 years. I'm going to like get the right clubs now, which it sounds like you did, right? So you got like, how many clubs did you get? What'd you get? Like probably pitching wedge through like 4?
I went from 4 all the way through utility wedge. Which
nice. I did the same thing.
Yeah, so I went all the way up to the utility wedge, and I did exactly what you kind of explained. I recognize that these clubs are going to be with me for at least the next 5 years. Like, can't guarantee 10. Maybe they'll go through wear and tear, or maybe I'll just progress to that point or get a raise or a bonus or something like that. But they're going to be with me. These are going to be my clubs. And so I was going into it kind of expecting, like, before the fitting, I had 2 options. I was like, do I want to just buy a box set of clubs for $400? They'll be better than the Amazon ones I have for sure. Maybe they'll add some distance. Or do I want to go all the way and really commit to a nice set of clubs for about $1,000? To which, when I told my mom, like, hey, I'm buying clubs for $1,000, I told my mom and my grandma, almost had a heart attack. But I knew I wanted to commit to these clubs, and it was I feel great about it, especially knowing that as my swing progresses as well, because it definitely needs a lot of work, especially having watched myself on some film and seeing what happened in the fitting. The guy who was doing the fitting said, yo, if you buy these here, and your swing changes, you can come in and we'll just change them for you. Like, they can adjust the loft angle or the lie angle, So that also made me pretty confident, because these clubs are going to grow with my game.
Yeah, exactly. And like, they're not going to change that much. Your swing's not going to change that much. And then, so I also got Pings as well when I got my clubs. And one of the things that I noticed is the resale value on those tends to stay pretty high. So like, part of why I was okay getting the really nice clubs that I got is like, okay, like the resale value should stay pretty high if I need to graduate to a less forgiving iron, something that I can like control a little bit more. I can, sell them for 50-60% of what I paid for them and still get a really good discount on my next set of clubs. Yeah. So that was kind of like my mentality there.
At which point you get that 50%, 60% discount, you're getting a twice as nice set of clubs, something that maybe like a lower tour pro would be using, but you're getting them for the same price as your first set of irons,
Exactly. And like, one other thing that I noticed that I thought was interesting is a lot of the game improvement irons, like the ones you got, the ones I got, and the ones that Josh, you'll probably end up getting, like the Sims, Mavericks, G410s, G710s, is they're pretty much the same price as a lot of the blades. Like, it's really not that difference. You'll go from like 120 a club to like 140 a club, or if you really get the crazy expensive ones, 160 a club. Like, which that adds up quick, but that's not night and day by any means, I don't think.
Exactly.
Especially given that I am using, older clubs, second, third hand clubs at this rate. So, any step up from that regard, I think will definitely help me going forward.
I think you're going to notice a massive difference, Josh. And then when and if we do our little golf trip together, I think you should definitely hit my clubs, hit Coop's clubs, Dylan's clubs if they're there on time, just to kind of like
let's hope
see the difference.
Yeah,
I think they will. Dylan, when I got my pings, they said it was going to be 2 months, and they came in like 2.5 weeks.
Okay,
so like I got my fingers crossed for you.
When did you actually get yours?
I ordered them on the 31st of May, and I got them 2.5 weeks later. So whenever that was. Okay.
See, that's not too bad, but the way the guy explained it to me is that because Corona has kind of progressed so much, and golf is, almost the only sport you can play while social distancing. Everyone has been buying up clubs, and he also kind of explained that the foundries over in China where they get all the metal have been closed. The factories where they're making this have been closed during the Corona. And so it might be a while, but, whatever. I'm playing with the Amazon clubs. I've done it for a year and a half now, so might as well keep doing it. And then when I finally get them, I'll be better. But
yeah, you'll be fine.
Exactly.
I'm not worried about you.
Patty, how were your last 2 weeks of golf?
They were pretty good. I played a 9-hole round with Cooper on at a twilight time after work, which was an absolute blast. And then I played 18 holes last night with Big Tuna, which was also super fun. Didn't golf great last night. I think I shot okay. Like I'm happy with my score, and this is kind of what I want to touch on a little bit. Is like I shot 14 over, and I'm like really disappointed with that.
On 9 or 18?
On 18. And I'm like, I'm like mad at myself. It was it's that same par 60 course.
Oh,
so it's a shorter course.
Okay. Yes.
So
okay.
I should score better than like a par 72 course, I think. But I just I'm like not happy with that, which is kind of like cool because 3-4 months ago I'd be jumping for joy at that.
Yeah.
And then the round with Coop, I actually recorded the first 5 holes before my phone ran out of storage. I uploaded it to our little drive that we share so you guys can see it. Maybe it'll end up on the YouTube, but golfed really freaking well. My 3-wood's just been on fire. I did not miss I missed the very first fairway with it, and then after that it was just pretty much striping every single shot. It was great.
So one question: when you said you shot 14 over, where did you feel your game was lacking? Were you 3-putting? Were you chipping? Were you having trouble getting out of the sand? Were lies? Did you duff some balls that you shouldn't have? Kind of where did you feel yourself go wrong, if you know?
Yeah, it wasn't a terrible day for me with my irons, but I really just felt like I couldn't hit my irons where I wanted them to. Like, it was just like, all right, like, cool, like 140-yard par 3, like I should get this on the green. Like, this is a shot that I feel like I can make. I have made a ton. I've had days where I haven't missed a shot like that, and I just felt like I was missing the green every single time by like 6 feet. And it was just so annoying.
So your shots were there, but it was just, you didn't execute as well as you could have, kind of thing.
Yeah, just didn't execute with my irons. My chipping was really solid. My putting was pretty solid. I 3-putted once, which was for a bogey, which sucked. But like it, like
well, that's when you're gonna 3-putt.
Exactly. And like the par 4s, like I'd hit iron, and it'd be iron in the middle of the fairway, and then I'd miss that green shot. So I think a lot of it's mental. And then also I was just so tired, and I wasn't really that into the round, which definitely like contributed to it. But I don't know, I was not happy at all with how I was hitting my irons. I felt like I was chunking every shot or like hitting it with the toe.
Give me that the good shot, bad shot from this last week. What do you got for us?
Ooh, that is a very good question. So I'd say my good shot would be hole 18. It is a 250-yard par 4.
That one, yep, that one, yeah.
Pretty short par 4. And I hit my 3-wood off the deck, and I put it pin high just off the green, like 10 feet to the right. So like that felt amazing. Like I hit it in a perfect line. I was kind of trying to hit a little bit of a draw. It just didn't draw. And then that was the 3-putt bogey. So I chipped it up. I'd like that.
Good shot,
Oh,
bad
so
shot.
much promise.
So there's the bad shot. Yeah, I chipped it up. It felt perfect, and then I putted it way too short, and I left myself like 6 feet for a par save, and I missed it by like a couple inches. I'd say those would be my good shot, bad shot. What about you, Josh?
I only played 9 holes, and I'm trying to think. Dylan, do you have good shot, bad shot?
So I had 2 good shots, and like
Two whole good shots? Damn, good job.
That fitting really was good.
That was a hell of a lesson you got there.
So here, before I get to my good shot, bad shot, because the first one kind of has to do with this story. Like I said, I was playing so much golf this weekend. I played 54 holes, and I improved in each hole. When I played 18 yesterday, I made sure that I got to the range beforehand. I hit a small bucket of balls. I got there about 45 minutes before. When I ran out of balls at the range, I plopped some out and I went over to the chipping zone. So I was kind of chip off the green. And then I headed over to the first tee. So I'm warming up at the first tee. I'm getting my camera set up. And then I bomb one down the left side. I was in the left rough. You'll be able to see this on video, hopefully, when I put this up. And I get to the first green. I chip it on. I'm pretty far from the hole. I'd say 20, 25 feet. And I go in my bag to find my putter. It's not there.
No, Dylan.
It's not in my bag. So, the previous 36 holes that I had been playing, my brother comes with me all the time. And because I broke my other putter that I had in my bag for the past year, sorry, Frenzel, I have not gotten that replaced yet. So when me and my brother go out, it's pretty much just one putter between both of us. And he'll take it from my bag and put it in his bag, or vice versa and stuff like that. So it always gets moved around. So I get to this first green and I don't have my putter. It's all the way back in the friggin' car in the parking lot. And I'm like, there's no way I'm running back to the thing. So I whipped out my 3-wood, I whipped out my 3-iron, and I was putting with my 3-iron all of yesterday, all 18 holes. So
that's probably the most use your 3-irons ever got.
Oh yeah. Literally, I had to hit it every hole, and it was quite an adventure because the lie angle of a 3-iron is so vastly different than the lie angle on a putter. I'm practically like 30 feet from the ball when I'm holding my 3-iron when I would compare to a putter, and this is where I get to my first of 2 good shots. Was I'm on this hole 1. Like I said, I'm probably 20, 25 feet from the hole. I'm putting with my 3-iron, so I'm like, well, this is freaking dumb. And then I par save from 25 feet with the 3-iron putter. So that one felt really good. Set me up for a pretty good rest of the front 9 there. I shot +5 on the front 9. Yeah, +5 on the front 9. I was even through the first 2 holes. I was +1 through the first 3. So felt really, really good about that. And then when I reached the back 9, the score started to pile up. Started getting really chilly. The wind was out and howling. And I really, I was actually getting bogey on just about every single hole, which is not bad. But at the same time, I'm at that point where I need to be sneaking a few pars in there to improve my score.
It is so crazy to me how in March when we were all golfing together, we were aiming for bogey golf and missing it and still being so happy with our rounds. I think it is so awesome that like we've come at least that far. Yep. Sorry, continue.
Yes. And then my second good shot that I had, I'm on the second tee. I whip out my driver, which I usually don't even touch. I keep it in the bag because I don't trust myself with it yet. I usually go with my 3-wood. It's a little more controlled for me. And the wind is coming from right to left off the tee, and my slice goes left to right. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe I could take a risk here and really bomb it down the fairway. So I pull it out, and I have the biggest hip rotation I've ever had in my life, and I bomb this thing. I start to see the slice happen. It's starting to slice, but then the wind kind of takes over and evens it out, so it's staying a little straight. I'd say there was probably 20 feet of curve on it, which is a lot, but the hole is a dogleg right. And so I'm going to look for my ball to hit the second shot, and I can't find it. I'm standing at, about 250, 260 from the tee, right where my driver should be going, and I just can't find it. I'm like, well, this stinks. So, like, maybe it hopped a few, like, and went into the tall grass, or like the fescue, whatever you want to call it. I keep walking because I get a little frustrated, and I'm about to drop. And here's my ball 100 yards from the hole on like a 450, maybe like 475 yard par 5. And I'm like, no freaking way. So I had a lob wedge all the way into the green for my second shot. Felt really good, but that was my second shot. I'll try to skirt over my bad shot. I was right in front of a tree. I said, screw it. I'm just going to hit this. There's no way I hit the trunk of the tree that's only 6 inches in diameter. And I hit the tree, and it bounced so hard back into the fairway, and I was farther from the hole. I was probably like another 20 yards farther from the hole at that point. But those are my good shot, bad shots. But been a good few weeks of golf for me.
So I played similar to Dylan's long par 5. I hooked it to the right with my drive. I tried to crush this ball, and every time I try to crush it, naturally there's going to be a huge hook on it. And I was there's like 3 simultaneous fairways, and there was trees kind of lying in between the 2 of them. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go over the trees, and I proceed to duff the ball, and it kind of rolls 20 yards, and now I'm right underneath the tree line. So I have the bright idea that I'm going to try to hit a flop shot over the trees. Literally just hit it straight up.
Always smart. Always the best decision. When in doubt, flop shot.
So I hit a flop shot, and this ball, I literally think I hit it with like this side of my 60, and it just hit the ball and just shot into the trees and the forest and the bushes. Just so bad. It's just not what you wanted to see. So take a drop, go to the other side, hit my sand wedge, finish that hole. And then I get to the next hole, par 3, about 180. But the wind's coming right at us. And it's kind of uphill. So, kind of going to club down a little bit. And I hit, and I think it's going to draw a little bit and kind of come back. And this 5 iron might have stayed in the air for like 10 seconds. Like, this ball just hung up there.
Oh, did the wind just take it?
The wind just took it, and it just went up, and it was there. And I had no idea if it was short or long, and then I just saw it kind of, stop, and the ball vanished. So it either like indented into the green, and there was going to be a big divot, or I was in the sand trap right next to it. I get there, and of course, I'm in the sand trap. And it had rained a little bit ago, so like it wasn't that it was concrete, but the sand was pretty tough. And I take my sand wedge, boom, pop it out 6 inches from the hole. It was just a beautiful par 3, just kind of almost a par save, you could say, but just the sand shot that I had was tremendous. So there's my good shot.
Those get tough. Before we round this turn real quick, I do want to touch on one thing that we talked about last weekend. It was the question that I posed that Dill, Josh, and I disagreed on a little bit.
Yes.
If you throw a golf ball, is it better or worse than actually golfing? So when Coop and I were out golfing on like that Thursday after work on hole 5, the hole, of course, where my phone decided to stop recording, we decided...
It knew.
I was telling Coop all about it. We were chatting about it, and we go, you know what? Like, let's try it here on this par 4. And so it was a like 320-ish yard par 4 with a pretty sharp dog leg left at like 250 yards. So you go 250 straight, and then you go pretty much 90 degrees left, like another 140 yards to be like 320 from the tee box. So we throw it, and both of our first throws, I think, went 20 yards tops. Like we threw it as hard as we could, and it was going absolutely nowhere. And it's just there's just no way. There's no way throwing it would be better, dude. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna have to test this myself because I really also want to know. But I want to you guys you're gonna hate me. I have started teeing it up on par threes again.
There you go.
And yes, I'm back on the light side, and as much as I hate to admit it, I'm making so much better contact and not taking huge chunks. So par threes are not my worst nemesis anymore. I've actually been doing pretty well on them. So
and while all 6 listeners are here, I do wear shoes at the driving range. Let's just get that out there. I 100% do that. It was twice. I did it twice that I was not wearing shoes. But I did it
to those 6 listeners, 6 aka
valued customers.
all three sets of parents. All right, I think you guys can probably smell it. I can smell it. We can smell those hot dogs cooking at the snack shack. I think it's about time we round that turn.
Let's round it, baby.
Round it, baby.
Let us do it.
Hole number 10.
All right, boys. Who's got a hot question for us this week? Who's feeling good about their question?
I got a good one here. Dylan, you mentioned you golf with your brother. How is that? Because a big question I have that I've kind of wanted to talk about and now's a great time is, does it matter who you're golfing with? Do you see an improvement? Do you find you're more relaxed with some people? Do you find that certain parts of your game improve, that you're more focused, less focused? So I don't know. How's that with your brother?
So you're saying, like, who do I golf best with and who do I golf worst with?
Who do you golf best with? Who do you golf worst with? Yes. But also if you think there's a difference in who you're golfing with. And also random people that you might golf with in a 4-summer or 2-summer or whatever.
So I'd say, honestly, I've gotten, during Corona, super used to golfing with randoms because it works on both sides of the coin. If I hit a really good shot, it's kind of like, nice. I kind of get to show off in front of these people that I don't know. Hopefully they think I'm good, or at least that was a good shot. When I golf with my brother, I kind of suck. and he's one of our 6 listeners, so hopefully he doesn't hate this when he hears it. But I find myself taking it not as seriously. And truly, that's just in the last month that we've been playing. He's been getting so much better each time we go out, which is actually wild. I don't understand how he does it. He can hit it straighter than I can, which kind of pisses me off. But when I play with him, I find myself not taking it as seriously, which I like and don't like. It's good in some aspects, but not good in others, because I am really trying to take it seriously and get better. But playing with the golf pro actually this weekend, I found myself really trying to hit it well. I thought he'd be offering a few more tips here and there, but it wasn't really the case. I played pretty well with him watching, and I felt pretty proud of that. But I'd say playing with family and friends, I'm really bad. Playing with randoms, I'm just used to it by now, so I actually prefer playing with randoms than playing with 3 people that I know, because I think there's that extra added pressure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I definitely agree with a lot of what you just said there. For me, my ceiling is lower when I'm playing with people that I know, but my floor is also higher when I'm playing with people that I know. I'm just like much more relaxed. I'm not as focused on my game, which can be really good or really bad. The like Coop and Ian, who I golf with the most out here, like usually we'll have like 2 or 3 drinks while we're playing, and that does not help my game at all for like holes, 8 through 14. Mm-hmm. It's just not the best thing for my golf game. But I'm comfortable. I'm not nervous about like hitting shanks around them. Like I hit shanks, they hit shanks. None of us care about it. So like I'm not nervous when I golf, which definitely helps a little bit, but I'm also not taking it like as seriously as if I was like trying to like just like not embarrass myself in front of a random. Mm-hmm. Like I played with, I think I mentioned it in last week's episode. I played with a guy that worked at the course that I was playing at, who gives lessons occasionally there. And that was like one of the better days I've ever had playing, because he was like pleasantly surprised every time I hit a good shot and like giving me some tips. And then just like, I don't know, like I saw him taking his time on every shot. So I was like, okay, cool. Like I can take my time on every shot. Whereas like if we're all golfing together and you guys, I take 35 seconds just sitting there taking practice swings, you guys might make like, it's, I don't know, it's you just kind of don't do that the way that we golf together. We're more like a little quicker, a little bit more relaxed about it.
And even if we're not bugging you either, like we wouldn't say a word all day. There's still something in the back of your head that's like, oh, I better go quick so that they don't think I take 10 practice swings before each shot.
But at the same time, you're focused. You're taking those practice swings and not just like we're out here, hitting balls and things like that. But one of the reasons I asked this question is I actually just played for the first time just alone with a random guy, and super good. And I feel like they're very much hit or miss. You can get someone that's very, very strict about how they play golf and very to the point, semi-amateur. I played with another random, but I was with my dad and sister, and he was like, he had a USGA like junior nationals bag. So like he was good. He was hitting par threes. He was birdieing like a bunch of holes. But I also have the privilege of being able to golf with my family a lot. And that is very interesting because, whether it's my mom, dad, sister, my dad, brother, sister, we're all there. We all know the game. We're all getting better simultaneously. But it's just a different level of focus than if I'm playing with my friends. And now that I've started playing with myself, and I'm going out tomorrow and Thursday to play 18 by myself, I'm out there so I can really focus on what I want to, and I can be the golfer I want to be. If I want to take 35 seconds because there's no one out there, I can. But at the same time, if I know I just got to, swing, I swing. So that's kind of why I like the question, but glad to hear the answers.
I really want to golf 18 this weekend or take a day off work, although I definitely can't do that. And just like...
Not if your boss doesn't find out.
Golf with your boss. Invite him out.
Anyway.
He thought about it.
That's not the worst idea. I'll send him a message tomorrow. No, but like I want to go and like get there like an hour early and just like golf 18 by myself and just like really see how low I can shoot. Like go to the driving range a little bit, just like hit like 30 balls, not tire myself out, chip a little bit, putt a little bit, maybe even like do a stretch, who knows. Just really
do some yoga.
Unheard of.
Yeah.
Unheard of.
I did yoga this morning.
Unheard of. I don't know. I think that'd be really interesting and like hopefully either not get paired up with anybody or somebody who is like trying to take it relatively seriously.
Is that something we can do periodically, is say, every month? I was thinking it's, the first true weekend in September is say like the beginning of every month, try to play around by yourself just so you can play the golf you want. Is that something that might help us kind of chase this bogey, chase this 10 handicap kind of in the future?
I think it's a good idea. I think it's just tough, especially because unless you're getting out at 7 a.m. on a Saturday, most of the tee times we'll be able to hit are going to be twilight rounds or Saturday or Sunday rounds. And a lot of the golf courses are going to be stacked and you're going to be paired up with someone. I was gonna add on, like, I love playing golf with myself when I can, especially because I can go at my own pace. I wish I had my own private golf course. I think everybody does, so that you can just go out. You don't have to worry about anybody in front of you that you're teeing off into. You don't have to worry about people behind you if you're being slow on the green. But as much as I would love to say, yeah, I'll play one round by myself every month, that's going to be super, super difficult to achieve. Not even on our own end, just in golf course logistics.
Yeah, and just like, I don't know, especially right now with like quarantine and stuff, golf's one of the very few social things I can do. And if Coop, Ian, or whoever is asking me like, yo, like, let's golf this weekend, like, I'm not going to say, I'm going to golf by myself. No,
yeah,
like,
I guess that makes sense.
And kind of like Dylan said, like, it's just logistically, I don't think that's realistic. And there's definitely going to be months where I can't golf for like those first couple weeks, at least not like regularly. So I don't see that happening too much.
I think the tomorrow, Thursday will be a good time because I'll kind of be able to see the golf shots that I'm hitting and really focus on where my game needs to improve in the fall.
Yeah. My question that I'm bringing to you guys for this week: what is your least favorite golf shot to hit? And I don't mean just like, oh, like shots out of the bunker, like a shot out of the bunker to a short green, or like here I'll give my answer just kind of like as an example. My absolute least favorite golf shot is like 60 yards out. I just am not comfortable with that shot for whatever reason, because I can get it on the green, but I want to hit that shot within 10, 15 feet, and I feel like I can't do that, and I kind of get in my own head about it. So like I don't like hitting that. So I'll look at a hole and I'll almost try to avoid that. I'll try to give myself 100 yards instead of 60, which sounds dumb and is dumb, but for whatever reason I just don't like hitting like 50 to 75 yards out. It's just not for me.
I'd say, and this may kind of come as a little bit of a surprise, but because, putting is kind of easy, but a long putt, my least favorite thing. I think I'm used to my shots on the tee shot, maybe fading a little bit or having a bad tee shot, having a bad iron shot, and even having a bad putt. But when I get faced with a 20, 30, 40 yard putt, 40 foot putt, I'm looking at it like, oh God, because I'm not thinking of it like, hey, I'm going to hole this. There's no shot in my mind that I think at this stage of my game, if I'm 20 yards out, that I'm going to be holing these long putts. So I'm in my head thinking, all right, let's get it within 3 feet of the hole. And especially if the green has a little bit of slope to it, like maybe an up and down or a left to right or a double slope, I just look at that and I freak out. And I can read a green pretty well, especially for the level of golfer that I am, but I see those long putts and I'm like, I freak out about the pacing, because pacing is so important with putting, especially reading the green, that if you read it perfectly and hit it right on that line but not at the right pace, your ball's going to be 20 feet away again. And I think that's like my least favorite shot. It's the one that I worry about the most, because even if I am 60 yards out, like you said, and I land it, if I get it on the green, but it is still 20 feet away, then I'm like, oh God. Not to mention if I'm putting with my 3-iron.
If I had to pick one that is my least favorite golf shot, I'm going to say between 125 and 145. Just because that is me having to take some off my pitching wedge, and because I'll have a really good swing, it'll feel really nice, and it'll be 10 feet over the green, 20 feet over the green. Or it's like, all right, I got to take some off it, and it only goes 100 yards. So it's such a finicky distance for me to hit now, because I really have to either take some off it and kind of bounce it on the fairway 20 feet before the hole and get that roll up to the green. But I can still never, put the ball within 15 feet of the hole kind of thing from that distance. Like if I'm 150, it's like I can push it. Plus, you have the aiming issues with that. If you're going to take some off, it's going to affect your aim rather than just kind of a fluid swing. So I'd have to think that's my least favorite. If I can get a 52 degree iron, that'll really help, as well as, getting all the irons. So having a 58 and a 60 as well, that can kind of hit that entire range. But it's those middle distance.
Being fitted.
Yeah, that was going to be my question is, I know last time we golfed together in Brantingham, you were kind of saying, but at this point too, I was hitting 150 yards with my 7-iron. I'd say I'm still kind of there if I take like a mediocre swing. I've definitely gotten up about another 15 yards with my clubs. I was hitting my pitching wedge probably like 140 this weekend, just because, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, I found my swing now, and I can get a more full swing. Anyway, you kind of said when we were in Brantingham that anything under 150, you're going pitching wedge at it, and I want to know what's in your bag under that pitching wedge, loft-wise, or over, whichever convention you want to go with. Like, do you have that utility wedge, the sand wedge, and the lob wedge? Because I know you have your sand wedge and you're pretty good with that, but at a certain point, I feel like 120 yards, I know you said between 120 and 140 is the weird range, but for me, that's my utility wedge.
So I do not have one. The only thing I had was a 56, and I think that for me, getting a 52 would definitely help that situation. But, as of now, it is definitely, my least favorite shot to hit because I don't have it in my bag. Once I have it in my bag, it might be my favorite because I can hit a 52. But
yeah, definitely. So when I got my wedges, the 52, 56, and 60, that definitely helped me out a ton. And part of the reason that I'm struggling out with my 60-yard shots is that I went away from those wedges for a while, and I'm kind of coming back to them. I was hitting my gap wedge, just kind of chipping it instead of an 80% 60 degree.
Yeah.
But those bomb tech wedges, man, I love those. That was the best drunk purchase I have ever made. I highly, highly recommend it. Being at a music festival with Laura, pretty drunk, and I see the Instagram ad and I go, oh, I want those wedges, and she just goes, oh, buy them. And I go, oh, okay. And then boom, I have 3 wedges that are perfect for our skill level. I absolutely love them. Bomb Tech sponsor us.
And yes, please. I need wedges immediately. And that's something that I'm gonna kind of get to is I need to buy wedges like that, but I'm not just gonna buy 3 wedges without getting fitted because why buy them now when I only have 6 weeks left of actual golfing and then a warm weekend because East Coast United States is abysmal weather. It was nice Labor Day weekend though, great weather. But I digress.
I was gonna add. I was hunting around in my attic this weekend. Usually, what I have in the bag is
you found a 52 for me.
I found a 50 degree.
I would love that. I love clubs like that.
And so I was hunting in my attic. We have probably 3 sets of golf clubs in there that I haven't even looked at that are probably from 1990. And usually what I have in the bag is this really nice 60 degree Cleveland wedge. Thank you to your uncle for that. And I also have a 55 degree sand wedge. And those have kind of been my only 2 wedges. My pitching wedge is, kind of a standard 45 degrees, but I had that gap in between the 45 degrees and the 55 degrees where that's the gap wedge. It's literally, that's what it's called, And I finally added it to the bag this weekend when I was searching in the attic. And this is the perfect club for, between 110 to 120 yards for me. And I can get my sand wedge, my 55 degree, 110 on the dot, get it pin high and have a nice putt. But adding this gap wedge opened up my game so much this weekend. I actually brought it out of the bag. It's the first time it's ever been in my bag, but I brought it out, and there were a few times that I was hitting the ball within 10 feet of the pin with that gap wedge, and it felt really, really good to have added something to the bag and see its immediate value.
Mm-hmm. Your gap wedge being your 50 degree? Because my pitching wedge is a 48 degree. And it was interesting that yours is 42 because I feel like that's a sizable difference in pitching wedges.
Not 42, 45.
I mean, still, it's 3 degrees does give you something, but it's one club. But I find that a little bit interesting. But
exactly. Cool. What really gets me going is that I can hit my gap wedge, like I said, 120 yards. But when I see the pros are hitting, they can hit their gap wedge 150, sometimes 160 yards, and it really gets me going. And that kind of got me thinking this weekend about the Tour Championship, which was held over Labor Day. It got me thinking, Friday rolls around, and it's only the first round. I kind of forgot that we had Monday off, so it's only the first round on Friday, or the first set of 4 rounds.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the heck? Or maybe they're only doing 3 rounds this weekend, but then I remember it. But what really intrigued me this weekend, it's the second year they've been doing it. The scoring convention that they used in the Tour Championship this year for the playoffs was when Dustin Johnson teed off in the first round on Friday. He started off at -10. He hadn't even hit a ball yet. He was -10. Yeah, and I don't really know what to think about the scoring convention. there's definite upsides and there's definite downsides. So the way you like got into the Tour Championship to win the FedEx Cup, there's I think multiple tournaments that you get to play, and then the top 30 players make it to this Tour Championship. And so the first person gets, I guess, -10. DJ had -10. John Rahm was second. He was at -9, and so on and so on. So that you start that first round with the advantage based on your FedEx Cup standings, which I do think is important. But I don't know if your status in the FedEx Cup playoffs should translate to a full stroke, because at some points in golf, a full stroke can be 3 holes worth of golf. You know what I mean?
Well, yes, 3 holes worth of golf. They do play 18 holes 4 days in a row. And then also it's just like, how else are you going to like give the advantage to the guy that's been like playing great all season? Because otherwise, like, golf is a very streaky sport, right? Like, you can have one guy shoot the best round of his life and all of a sudden he's the FedEx Cup champion, which, like, yeah, he's one of the top 30, but he's not a top 10. He shouldn't be, but just like, I don't know. I think that's a good way of giving an advantage to the guys that have been at the top all year.
Yeah, and to add on to that, I think about kind of the flip side is, doing a scramble, doing a best ball where you might be paired up against people and having to go one-on-one. Your handicap is going to lower, the better player's score to equate to the lower guy, which makes sense in terms of a handicap. But I think for the scoring convention, it is the flip side, where you don't want to equate everybody. You want the people that are better to stand out. And I think by giving them the extra stroke, I think that that's how that shows. Because or else, like Patty said, you could have number 30 win because he shoots the best round of his life.
Yeah, exactly. It's like giving home court advantage in the playoffs in like basketball, football, baseball. Like it's an advantage, and there's no real good way to do that in golf, other than being like, all right, number 1 gets all 14 clubs. Number 2 only gets 13 clubs.
That's why.
Number 3 only gets 12 clubs. How funny would that be?
Do you think the PGA Tour should add one event each year where you have to choose one club, and that you can only play one club for the whole weekend?
I think don't they do that for like some charity events already?
No, well, yeah, charity.
No way.
But I'm saying like,
you're saying for the tour? No, dude.
No.
Heck no.
Okay, so I guess for the actual tour, yeah, maybe my question's a little off, but
no.
I think it would be pretty cool to see just about 150 guys go out and their caddy is holding their 7-iron in their hand with an iron cover on there and like a little club brush, and that's it. Because I
imagine doing that and your club like breaks or gets scuffed up, and you have a dude out there like just trying to like hit it with just the shaft or something.
Oh my god, I could not even imagine.
You think
you're the lead, like you're the leader through 17 holes, and it breaks at like the end of that 17th hole, and you have hole 18, and all you have to do is get triple bogey or better. But you only have like a shaft. I think that'd be so funny.
If you're on the green at that point, you use your club as a pool cue. You lay down on the green and you're just trying to hit the corner pocket. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. You think they'd all use a 7-iron? I think a lot of them would use pitching wedge.
I think you're probably right there. I think they can get. I mean, what do you think the pros can hit their pitching wedge at? I'd say between 160 and 180.
I was going to say consistently 160.
Pitching wedge? I was going to say like 150, 160 tops.
Okay.
If they get a hold of it,
I also don't know.
and honestly, that puts them. You think about a par 500. If they're hitting it 160, they're already at
on the green at 3.
They're on the green at 3. So.
But if you give them their 8-iron, they're not miss. Their miss with the 8-iron is so small that they're not really going to be in too many bunkers in the rough too often. Like, I don't think they're going to need a wedge, right? Like, I think that extra distance would help them a lot more in general. I don't know. I could see it going either way. I think it'd be pitching wedge to 7-iron, somewhere in there.
Yeah. Or you'll get the occasional guy that like uses his 3-iron because of putting or whatever. He's kind of like a freak with a 3 or something. But
He does an insane flop shot, just opens up his stance.
Just opens up a flop shot with a 3-iron. I should try that this week. But
yeah, believe me, you don't. If you're gonna play a full round with your 3-iron, you do not want it. It is not good as a putt. You got to take it from me. But so going forward over the next week, we're trying to get better. We're gonna try to have some bullet points. How do you guys think you're gonna get better over the next week?
So, kind of touching on my bullet points from last week, I did the ball striking thing, right? And I just want to I think we can talk about what our bullets were for last week, how we addressed them, and then how we're moving forward. Because I don't know if we touched on the bullets too much. Mine was ball striking with the Dr. Scholl's powder, and what I did is I spent like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours total out there, just hitting balls into the net and spraying Dr. Scholl's on it every 10 shots. And I tried to count how many balls that were like overlapping apart off of like the club face, like that little like the grooved area basically. And I pretty consistently, like 2 to 3 out of every 10 shots, some part of the ball was not on like the area of the club face that you're supposed to hit. So my ball striking is not great, right? That's 30% of my shots are almost shanks, and then I'm still like missing the center of the club face a lot. So I definitely want to keep working on that, emphasizing just working on my irons as much as possible. Fun fact though, on the 3-wood, I hit it 30 different times, and I had one that wasn't almost perfectly in the center. So for whatever reason, the 3-wood is just working right now.
Big Bertha.
Love it.
So for me, last week I was, really focusing on club groupings. I never was able to get to the range. I think I'll still try to get to the range this week, especially if I can hit it before my rounds this week. But to kind of go along with that is, club groupings, yes, important. I want the 7, the 8, and the 9 to be all very similar. But with that, I definitely want to make sure that I can string holes together. And that's really what I'm going to focus on. Because if I can get each club grouping right and then get, the driver to the 7-iron to the putter, or to the pitching wedge to the putter, and kind of be able to string holes together, multiple holes, it's kind of starting to group together golf. So, I can hit, many pars, because there's going to be breakdown holes that I have just based off how I can focus. If, I'm, a lot of different reasons that I could just have an absolute blow up hole. But that's what I'm going to focus on, is stringing holes together, getting 2, 3, 4 pars in a row rather than par bogey, or par bogey, triple bogey, something like that. So being able to, collectively get the clubs down to where I want.
That's a good point. I think my bullet this week, and to touch on last week, I think my bullet was to get better with my irons. I found myself in the fairway, having an iron shot into the green, and I just was not connecting. Kind of like what you said, Patty, how there were, you weren't really confident, and you were missing by 6 feet off the green in your round that you played. This week, I definitely got better with my irons. Doing that fitting, I was able to sort of see how to swing a little bit better with my irons. And to me, I consider my irons, everywhere from 4 through pitching wedge. I don't know if you consider your pitching wedge an iron or not, but I was hitting stuff with my irons very, very well, very straight. I backed up from the ball a little bit. I increased my lie angle just slightly. And I think it did pretty well for me. I was hitting things straight and just about the exact distance I wanted with each club. So I was pretty satisfied with that. This week, how I want to get better, and my big bullet point is going to be trying to make it so my swing is not from outside to inside. So when I'm swinging at the ball, I see it in my film, I saw it in the fitting, and it's something that it's really, really, really difficult for me to change right now. I don't know how to do it, but when I'm contacting the ball, I'm coming from a super big angle from outside to inside, upwards of like 3 to 4 degrees each time, which sounds not that big, but when you come to golf, it's huge. So I'm going to try to work on that, watch some instructional videos, and see how I can stop going all the way from outside to inside, and that'll be my thing for this week.
Yeah, so Dylan, actually touching on that, I've told you guys this a couple times, probably too many times. It's probably getting annoying. But the book I've been reading, the Practice Manual by Adam Young, there's a drill in there where he talks about you put tees kind of like on the swing path that you have. So like that outside to inside swing path. So kind of farther away from you behind the ball and closer to you from the ball. And swing at it a couple times with the ball in between those tees and don't try to hit those tees. So you have to have like an aggressively inside to out swing path. Do that like 10 times and then go back to hitting it. Because I was having the same issue with the 3-wood. I was slicing it every time because I was going outside in with like an open club face. And that just completely got rid of my slice after like half an hour of doing that.
Oh, nice.
So definitely something to check it out.
Excellent. Well, yeah. Thank you everybody for listening. Those have been our bullet points for this week. We're going to try to get better and hope everybody who has been listening to this great golf podcast is also trying to get
6
better.
Of you. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad.
But again, we just want to say thank you everybody for listening and hope you guys are trying to get better right along with us because we know it's definitely easier said than done. But we appreciate your support. And if you want to, you can follow us on Twitter at Wrong Fairways. And we're also putting up new YouTube content just about every other week, and that is the Wrong Fairway, so you can find us there. But overall, again, we just want to say thank you, and thank you for listening. We know we're pretty super easy to listen to.
Very easy.
Keep hitting those fairways. Just make sure they're the right ones.
On a side note, it was so funny when I was golfing 9 with my high school buddies this weekend. On the first tee, the guy tees off, hits it, and he's in the wrong fairway. He slices it way right. He's like, "Oh, dang it, I'm in the wrong fairway." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, he said it." He said it. But again, I want to say thank you very much, everybody, for listening. And remember, try not to slice your ball.
Hell yeah, buddy.